I'm 101 years old, and I'm going to tell you something most people never learn, not because it's hidden, but because it's uncomfortable. People always ask me the same question. What's the secret? They expect a food, a habit, a routine. That's not it. Sit with me for a moment. Have you ever noticed how people search everywhere except inside themselves? I've lived long enough to watch trends come and go, fortunes rise and fall, and people chase happiness like it's something hiding just around the corner. I've buried friends who were richer than me, smarter than me, and younger than me, and every time I noticed the same pattern. They kept waiting to be happy instead of choosing it. Let me be clear. I didn't live an easy life. Anyone who reaches my age hasn't. I've lost people I loved deeply. I've watched plans fall apart overnight. I've had years where just getting out of bed felt like work. Happiness didn't arrive because life became kind. It arrived because I made a decision when life wasn't. Most people believe happiness is a reward, something you earn after suffering long enough, after working hard enough, after fixing everything that's broken. I believed that too, for decades, and that belief kept me waiting. Waiting is dangerous. Have you noticed how waiting quietly steals years without making any noise? I remember being in my 40s, telling myself, I'll relax when things settle down. In my 60s, I said, I'll enjoy life when responsibilities ease. In my 70s, I thought, maybe later. Later never came the way I imagined. It never announces itself. It just slips past while you're busy planning for it. The truth is this. Life doesn't give you happiness once everything is perfect. Life gives you moments, small ones, ordinary ones, and you decide what they mean. Most people don't realize they're making that choice every day. They let circumstances decide for them. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to blame life instead of choosing differently? At 101, I don't wake up joyful because nothing hurts. Things hurt. I wake up joyful because I stopped arguing with reality. I stopped asking life to be fair before I allowed myself to feel grateful. That shift didn't happen early. It took me many years of being unhappy to understand it. There is a moment in every life when you either take responsibility for your happiness or spend the rest of your days chasing it. I didn't recognize that moment when it first appeared. Most people don't. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share next is the decision that changed everything, and it's one you can make sooner than I did. I didn't discover this secret in a moment of peace. I found it in a season of loss. I was in my late 50s when everything I thought defined me began to disappear. Work slowed. Friends drifted away. My body stopped cooperating the way it used to. I remember sitting alone one evening, realizing no one was coming to rescue my mood. That night I understood something unsettling. I had been waiting for circumstances to change before allowing myself to feel content. I treated happiness like a reaction instead of a responsibility. Without noticing, I had handed control of my inner life to things I couldn't command. Have you ever given life permission to decide how you feel? I began watching people closely. The happiest ones weren't the luckiest. They weren't free of pain. They were decisive. They chose how to respond when things went wrong. When they lost, they grieved, but they didn't build a home inside their grief. That difference fascinated me. One morning, nothing extraordinary happened. I made coffee. Light came through the window. I sat quietly and noticed my breath. For the first time, I wasn't rushing to escape the moment. I wasn't asking it to be different. I simply accepted it. That small shift felt heavier than any achievement I had ever chased. From that day on, I practiced choosing. Not joy all the time, honesty. Some days I chose patience. Some days I chose rest. Some days I chose gratitude, even when I didn't feel like it. Choosing didn't erase pain. It kept pain from deciding who I became. Most people think happiness means smiling constantly. It doesn't. Happiness is feeling at peace with your choices. It's knowing you showed up fully, even on ordinary days. When you stop postponing life, life feels fuller without becoming easier. Have you noticed how meaning doesn't require perfection? Years passed, loss returned as it always does, but something had changed. I no longer asked, "Why is this happening to me?" I asked, "Who do I want to be inside this?" That question gave me back my power. And power, I learned, is where happiness quietly lives. There is one final piece to this secret that most people never hear because it sounds too simple to matter. It's not dramatic. It won't impress anyone. But it decides everything in the end. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you next is the difference between chasing happiness and living it. The final part of the secret isn't about adding anything new to your life. It's about stopping what drains it. Happiness grows when you stop arguing with reality. When you stop wishing your past had been different and your future would arrive sooner. Acceptance isn't giving up. It's choosing peace over resistance. Have you noticed how much energy fighting life consumes? I used to believe happiness required change, a new place, a better situation, more certainty. What I learned is that change helps, but choice matters more. You can live in comfort and still be miserable. You can live with pain and still feel at peace. The difference is whether you decide to meet life as it is or keep waiting for permission to be content. At 101, my pleasures are simple. Warm light in the morning, a quiet cup of coffee, a conversation where no one is in a hurry. These moments were always available to me. I just didn't value them when I was younger. I thought happiness had to be earned through struggle instead of noticed through presence. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell him to work less or plan more. I would tell him to pay attention, to notice who is in the room, to listen without preparing a reply, to stop treating ordinary days like something to get through. Those days are the ones that make a life. You don't need to wait for life to slow down before you choose happiness. It won't. Life keeps moving whether you're present or not. The choice is whether you move with it or against it. Happiness isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It shows up quietly when you stop postponing your attention. If you're listening and thinking this sounds too simple, I understand. I thought the same thing for decades. But simple doesn't mean easy. Choosing again and again takes effort. Some days you'll forget. That's normal. What matters is returning. Returning to awareness. Returning to gratitude. Returning to the moment you're actually living. If this story gave you something to think about, take a moment to like this video. It helps these reflections reach others who may need them right now. And if you want more honest stories about life, aging, and the lessons that take too long to learn, consider subscribing. I'll keep sharing what time has taught me while I still can.